Okay, so we're going to talk some more about Chode backtracking. Okay, so like I mentioned in the last video, one of my guys is just had a major snapback effect. We just regressed back into Chodedom. Okay, and I've taught him, trained him in at least a certain portion or part of physical escalation and seduction, etc. But he had a date. He brought a girl back, and everything was going fine. He met her out. He was talking to her, projection of authority, game, etc. Everything is good. He takes her back to his place, so everything is good so far. And he knows full well that sex is a physical act. Okay, so you have to create the context for it beforehand. You can't just like throw a girl in the deep end of the pool as far as like going from like Chodedom, no touching, all of a sudden I want to fuck you, right? Like clearly there's a huge gap that you, as the leader here, as the man in this relationship, need to bridge the gap. Okay, not to say that women aren't capable and even responsible for their own romantic forays, but that's not the society we live in. Maybe 20, 30 years. Okay, and there are some women out there that are pretty brave and pretty badass about that stuff, but they are rare and few and far between. Okay, so anyway, he gets this girl back to his place, and then he just shuts down. And he writes in his write-up, and he's like, it was fucking awful. It actually upset me just even reading it. But he said something like, I'm going to find that shit now. And he's like, he goes, after my date with the girl on Saturday, I went to my bed and felt really bad, thinking, I'm never going to get to sex if I never escalate. I knew what to do, and here's where he fucks up. He goes, I knew what to do, e.g. talk more about relationships and make compliments. And then the last one was touching her, but some on the moment I got anxious. Okay. I sort of yelled at him, like, who the fuck, where did you learn the idea that escalating is talking about relationships and complimenting her? I'm like, I never told you that. So because of his, and he felt tense, and I'm like, dude, and I'm like, why do you feel tense? And he had a stupid rationalization, like, no, you feel tense because you're in a situation where you're a little bit unfamiliar with and the unknown, and so your brain automatically and your body automatically go into and cascade into a freeze-based, prey-based response. And that Chode rationalization you came up with for your lack of, effort and correct behavior here is nonsense. And if you think that's the problem, then you're always going to stay stuck there, because if you're working on an imaginary problem, you'll never have a real solution, right? So I'm like, it's identify correctly that your body is tense, and that superficial, shallow breathing up in your chest. Breathe down in your gut, and you start to cut ties with your brain's desire to keep you safe, which is just weak Chode machinations. You have got to cut ties with your survival-based biology. It will always fuck you up. It is not success-based, it is survival-based. Meaning stay the same, keep everything the same. And it's not, success requires progress requires change the opposite of homeostasis and staying the same, right? So we got that. Okay, so, suffice to say that he was focused on the wrong problem, the wrong issue, okay, completely. And he reverted back to Chode conditioning, like, to talk about relationships. Dude, you do not talk about relationships with girls that you have not slept with. That is anti-seductive. That will fuck you up. That will ruin your chances. And of course nothing worked out between him and this girl, because he was doing stupid stuff like that. Okay? I told him, you let her back logistically. Okay, now it's physical escalation, which you should have been doing already, but that's all that's left. I'm like, I had some of these people are like, and this is all Chode beta rationalizations and this whole Me Too movement, and it's like, they're trying to make it some sort of like rational, like, let's talk about relationships, and then she starts talking about her relationships, and then she's supposed to say, yeah, I want one right now, and then that makes the guy feel safe and comfortable. And that is the constructed, contrived, fake nonsense that patriarchy gave us. Okay, so in trying to create this whole like consent thing, that's what's insincere and ingenuine. Okay, seduction, sex, courtship is organic. It's natural. Okay, you have to move into it, and of course, if sex is a physical act, you create that context. You create that precedent. You can't do it otherwise. Okay, so trying to go into like some sort of like signal calling, like tribal signaling, like let's talk relationships. How do you feel about that? And all of a sudden, that's supposed to like bridge the gap. No, that is bullshit beta conditioning. Okay, so don't do that. Okay, when your brain and body tenses up and you're like this, you have to realize that you're slipping into a freeze, pray, base response. You have to stop that, cut ties with that, free yourself, and then you can do what you know you're supposed to do, which is physically escalate or lead logistically or come up with a plan, etc. We go into all, depending on where you're at. But you have to identify things correctly and stop going for this Chode, signal calling. Okay, the traction rhythm. Is this okay that I do this? I call it the Chode dilemma. Okay, kind of like the prisoner's dilemma, but it's the Chode dilemma. Okay, the Chode dilemma is, if you're a Chode and you hesitate, okay, and when you're escalating on a chick and she sees this and she experiences this, then that's when she's going to be super bothered by it and then accuse the Chode of sexual harassment because he's the one that's acting like it. Like, is this okay? Oh my God, that's the Chode dilemma, right? The fact that you're trying to respect her makes you act like a Chode. Okay. And then you don't get anywhere, and this sucks. It's very bad.